Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of my Become Unstoppable series. And as always, I have another amazing guest. And this is Sue. And would you like to introduce yourself, my love?
Hi everybody, thanks Julie. I'm Sue Ellar and I'm a health transformation and food relationship coach. And I help, generally speaking, busy female entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, coaches to better health, better energy, better vitality, reduce symptoms through a new relationship with food.
Nice, very well put there. So those who don't know me, I'm Julie Fitzpatrick, a multi-award winning therapist and coach. And actually our niches are not that dissimilar actually. So I really help busy, stressed out people who are suffering from anxiety, but really not that's knocking their confidence. So I help using the subconscious mind to really go back deep to find the root cause so that you can become unstoppable.
Yes.
Go girls, go girls. So, Sue, as people who have watched this interview before will know that before we get cracking into finding out all about you, we have to ask you the most famous question in the world is, what does being unstoppable mean to you?
Oh, I could talk and talk about this, Julie. But let me just, if I may, put it into two different categories.
Oh, you may, love, you may.
So the first of all is the personal side. There's always been a passion in me to get the most out of life. I want to live longer. I want to live healthier. I want to do more. I want to travel. I want to meet more people. I want to seize the opportunities that life has to offer. And so there's always been this drive to do exciting new things. And maybe we can talk about some of those exciting new things as we go on. So lots and lots of adventures and all of that requires health, right? Now I didn't have health for a lot. I didn't have the best of health for a long time. And I know we'll come to this, but so that leads me on to the part two of what being unstoppable means. In order to be unstoppable, in order to do everything that you want to do with life, in order to seize those opportunities, your health, your vitality, your body confidence, your longevity is so critically important. So what drives me in my business, what makes me unstoppable in what I do for my clients is that kind of one of the phrases I like to use is, I refuse to sit back and watch. I refuse to sit back and watch while people go through what I went through. I refuse to sit back and watch while people struggle with joint pain and stiffness and digestive disorders that they don't know why that's being caused. I refuse to sit back and watch while women who are carrying extra weight that is making them unhappy think that the only solution is going on a diet or weight loss injections. So I refuse to sit back and watch is now my motto for being unstoppable in my business.
I like that. Yeah, that's really good. And it is very true, actually. And I think, well, not I think, I know we're going to enjoy our conversation today, and I hope everyone else does, because we are very much aligned in what we do. So you're teaching them, well, you can tell us in a minute how you're teaching them, but you're teaching them probably a little bit more consciously in terms of, these are the things you need to know, this is what you understand, and maybe an element of subconscious too. I don't know yet because we haven't had that conversation. But equally similar for me, really, because I'm working with my clients, really tapping into that subconscious mind. And it can be weight issues. It's not predominantly what I do, but I can. But it is also getting to the root cause of what's holding us back, which can be impacting our weight. It can be impacting our health. And actually, I do a lot of physical conditions as well. And I've helped people with autoimmune diseases, skin conditions, arthritis, because a lot of it, like you say, and we'll say more, it's everything about what we put into ourselves. So we are what we eat. It is very much about looking after our bodies and exercising, but it's also about what goes on in here, which is what drives the whole thing, isn't it?
Yep, the stress associated with some of these associations that we're carrying with us through life that may have arisen from childhood, that stress, and it also impacts on our behavior around self-care, our behavior around the way we eat. So
100%.
what I coach is all about food, and there are certainly holistic lifestyle elements to that. But one of the key things that goes hand in hand with your food relationship is stress. And so this is if you're carrying that extra stress because of some unresolved issues, then it's just also related, isn't it? So like you said, you've got the pragmatic side, you've got the practical, how should I be eating? And we can talk about that, because it's not what people think. It's not what most people think. I thought I was a healthy eater. In fact, I probably was the healthiest out of everybody that I associated with. But still, I was carrying extra weight, and I was stiff and achy, and nobody could explain to me why in my early 40s I was stiff and achy. So there's the practical side. We are what we eat. And the way we're eating directly impacts the symptoms that we feel, the energy, the sleep, and the extra weight that we're carrying. So there's the practical, the how to eat. But then you've got the emotional. Because one of the biggest, and of course, stress causes symptoms. Of course it does. You know that firsthand. But another thing that stress causes, and a lot of women don't realize this, when we're running on stress, cortisol, adrenaline, the body switches off the ability to naturally release weight. Because if you think back to how we evolved, our ancestors, the hunter-gatherers, we were moving around quite a lot. We'd have to be on the run quite a lot. Now, if there's very little food around and you've got to set up a new camp miles away because there's some stressful incident in your tribe, in your base, in your camp, no way would the human body be designed to release weight under those circumstances. The body needs to hold on to the resources that it has. So there's a mechanism in the human body, particularly with women, when there's stress, hold on to the weight. And so if this is about weight loss, and it is for a lot of women, particularly those who are going through perimenopause, because we know that menopause makes it harder to release weight, stress is huge. Not just for your symptoms, but for your weight as well. So it's so important that we do both the food and the whole lifestyle.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
100% agree with you. And stress causes disease, doesn't it? It causes disease in the body.
It's just another form of stress in the body.
It's just like a vicious cycle, isn't it? But if you're not conscious of this, then you're going to carry on making those same patterns, same mistakes, doing the same thing. And there's that old saying, isn't it? If you want to change, you need to change. You can't carry insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And that is the same with diets, isn't it?
Exactly.
Fortunately, I've only really had, I won't say I've got a weight issue, but I've got, the old menopause, like you say, but I've never really been on a diet, but I've got lots of friends who have, and that's just become their lifestyle, really, isn't it? Which one can I try this time?
And it becomes a lifestyle because they get some short-term results, and they don't know another way. And so they're like, oh, the short-term, well, it didn't work last time. I released a few pounds, but then that one, I fell off it. So I got to go back on it. And this is what programs us into this yo-yo dieting mentality, because we don't know of a better way.
No.
And it took me till I was 49 before I found that better way. I'm 53 now. It took me till I was 49 to find that better way. And when I say better, I don't mean the next gimmick or the next diet. I mean the answer that is hidden in plain sight. And it's so, when you see it, it's like, oh, well, this is kind of obvious, really. It's nature's way. It's just the way nature intended. And it turns out that when we are, and you've got to be taught how to do that, and you've actually got to be guided through it, because you can't just go back to the way nature intended, right? You can't just go back to all that. So people are stuck in the trap of what they don't know. And they're stuck in the trap of things that give them short-term rewards. So it could be You join a particular diet, you get a few pounds off, everybody claps, you get, a few, down a size. And then before it's not sustainable because you're not taught the lifestyle changes. So you fall off it. And then next time it becomes really painful for you to be carrying the extra weight. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, I had a bit of success on that. I'll do it again. Copy, paste, repeat. So this is why people get hooked. And it's also why people get hooked on, things like sweet foods or things like alcohol or things like
that short-term dopamine hit, isn't it?
Short-term results programs the old animal instinct brain. Oh, you got some short-term results. That must be good. Copy, paste, repeat. And it requires breaking out of those short-term results and stepping back and going, right, what would give me long-term sustainable results if I just let go of that desperate need to do something quick?
Yeah, and this is where my work comes in as well, really, because it's really like uncovering the root cause of people's behaviors, as we said. Like, what's the belief underneath it? Is it because when you were young something terrible happened to you and you needed to stay big, or if you were big you might not be looked at in the same way, so therefore you won't continue to be abused? There's a whole realm of different possibilities it could be, isn't it? Could just be that you don't love yourself, you don't feel good enough, and it could be pushing people away in relationships, can't it? There's so many things it could be.
There's so many emotional reasons why people either overeat or are eating the wrong foods, as well as all the confusion. That's another reason. It's like, well, what am I supposed to be eating? And there's the confusion. But those emotional reasons, when people know they're not eating right, it very often goes back to early experiences. Of course it does.
Yeah, like you can't get up from that table till you've eaten everything off that plate and all that good stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. And do you know what I have found, which is absolutely magic, and I would never have expected this, but when you guide somebody through this food reset program where they're changing one thing at a time, right, and they embed that change, and it's like, oh, I did that change and I feel better. All I did was one thing, and then the next change, and then the next change, all those things disappear because now it replaces the old habitual, emotional, compulsive with this new, oh, who knew? When I eat this way, I feel great. And that is much more empowering than the old habitual, compulsive behaviors. So that just subsides. It just melts away.
Yeah, it's good. Now, we will come back to this, but this is my Unstoppable series, remember? So I want you to share your story then about, this is what you're doing now. You're a health transformation and food relationship coach. But Sue, that hasn't always been your life, love, has it? How did you end up doing this?
I would never have believed in your wildest dreams that this is what I would be doing at age 53. Because if I go back to my original career, is I'm a physicist, right? I'm a medical physicist. That's what I did at uni. That's what I did for the first 5-6 years of my career. Science, and it was unfulfilling, not because of the work, because I was passionate about the work that I was doing and the people that I was helping. But I'm afraid to say I wasn't getting anywhere in the NHS. It was we were in a very innovative department, wanting to bring really good solutions to people, but our hands were tied because the NHS is what it is. And so I started looking for something else. So I actually moved from that career to my second career, which was as a software engineer. So I went in I was tinkering around a lot with computers back in my first career, but I wanted to get more into computers. So long story short, for the next 25 years, I'm a software engineer, IT manager, IT consultant. I'm building tech. I'm helping people with their tech. And I loved it because for me, it wasn't about the tech. It was about the people that I was helping. So this is why there's always been this very strong people side to what I did in tech. And one of the things that I was passionate about was helping women to bring their gifts to the world through tech, because back then, oh, and we got the thumb there.
Yeah.
Because back then, the people that I really wanted to help were women with a passion. And guess what? They were afraid of tech back then, 25, 20
I think a
years.
lot of them probably still are, to be fair.
And still are, right? So my niche then was, I can help you in my own, I always had a sideline. I can help you if you want to bring your creativity to the world. I can show you how to do that. And it was basically Apple Mac. I was an Apple Mac guru. And that at that time was my unstoppable. I'm going to help the world. I'm going to change the world. I wanted to work with the celebs, helping them with bringing their gifts to the world through their tech. And then the iPhone came in. And then, of course, what happens now is Apple gets so good that people don't really need any help anymore, right? So I'm like, okay, I need a new thing. So there was another element to my career. I've always loved to sing, right? I'm Welsh. You can tell from my accent. I live in Cardiff. I love to sing. And one of the things I discovered after I had kids was the joy of group harmony singing. Now, I won't call it choir, group harmony singing, because there's something about singing in a group when there's no audition and there's no sheet music, but you're shown how to sing in harmony parts that come together. And when you do that in a group of people who are all standing in a circle, the connection, the joy is exhilarating. So I got really into harmony singing, and I then became a natural voice choir leader. So now I'm helping women who are bringing their gifts to the world, and probably choir leaders. And I'm heading, for this is going to be my career. I'm blending singing with IT.
Nice.
So that's the way I was going for a long time. But what was it that led me into what I do now was my own personal experience. So through all this time, great career, lots of adventures. In fact, one of the most exciting things I did was to do with singing. I brought together, with the help of some local singing leaders, we teamed up and we brought together a choir of 800 singers.
Wow.
In Cardiff, right? And it was amazing. And we did this twice, and we raised something like £50,000 for water aid. So now I'm on a mission to, change the world in lots of different ways. But all that time, I was struggling with my weight. This is the underlying problem that needed fixing for me, that was holding me back. And I'd been trying, we talked about the yo-yo dieting. I'd been doing that my whole life. And it came a point around the age of 40 when I thought, this cannot be right. This yo-yo dieting lark cannot be right. It's keeping me overweight. It's keeping me obsessed with food. And so I made the decision at 40, I'm going to stop yo-yo dieting. I'm just going to stop dieting and start using my own intellect. So I went on a journey of being much more open-minded about what is the right way of eating. How are we meant to be eating? What else is out there that's not dieting? And it took until 2020, during the lockdown, when I think a lot of us had some kind of revelation or challenge, massive challenges, but it led to something, didn't it, for a lot of us? It led to a breakthrough. And the breakthrough that it led to for me was discovering how human beings are meant to be eating. So I just landed on this talk. It was a webinar about how the natural human diet and the benefits of that, and not just the weight loss, but overcoming symptoms that you didn't know you could overcome, the energy, and how the food industry is to blame, not just for our weight problems, which we know that because they talk a lot about the global obesity crisis, don't they? But actually, they're slightly wrong. It's not the global obesity crisis. It's the global health crisis. And obesity is just one of the symptoms.
Symptoms of it, yeah.
So that's how I discovered this new way of eating. It's not even a new way of eating. It's the old way of eating. But I didn't know that, one, I could release weight naturally without dieting. And I did 2 dress sizes. But two, what became more important to me was now I'm free from joint pain and stiffness. And I've had that for like 15, 20 years. So I'm thinking, where's this gone? This is it's chronic inflammation, right?
Yeah.
Gut disorders, skin conditions, every minor ailment going. I had athlete's foot, cold sores, mature acne, you name it, all the minor things. My hair was thinning. My eyelashes were thinning. And when I changed the way I eat, it took 90 days, all that changed.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it? And this is what people don't understand. But the problem is, and you can help us understand in a minute how you help your people, so to speak. It's because of the mindset shifts that they have, or the mind blocks. They don't always have the psychological abilities to do it, I suppose, because it's all happening in the subconscious mind, and it's not conscious. It's just sabotaging us in our subconscious. So how do you help them with that?
Do you know, the subconscious is a huge part of it, but fundamentally people don't know how to eat. Now that's not disrespectful to people who think they're eating it. That's not, because what I'm saying is we are being manipulated by marketing and advertising and claims on packets that is misleading.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's not our fault. We do the best we can, right? So those of us who are health conscious, we do the best we can to find the healthiest way of eating that we can. We're limited by the information we're given, what else would you call it apart from manipulation? That kind of being lured into, this is good for you.
It's like cereal, isn't it? That's a really good example, isn't it? Cereal, right?
Great example.
Breakfast of Kings, and that was just a marketing thing. I think it was cornflakes, wasn't it? Yeah.
And worse than that, this is the best thing you can give your child.
Yeah.
Now, I remember my mum used to give me Ready Break because the glow.
Yeah.
And she wanted to set me up for the day with energy. Ready Break. That was the start of my weight problems. This ultra processed, ultra refined grain that you mix with milk and sugar. And it's supposed to be a health food. Don't get me started. So the claims on packaging is one of the problems. Another one of the problems is there's this like, oh, I eat healthy because I eat wholemeal bread. So you think you're eating something because it's better than white bread, but you're not even drawn to look at what are the ingredients. It's not bread. It's not bread. It's some ultra-processed, reconstituted version of refined wheat that resembles some, if you look at what bread was 50 years ago, right? What we're buying now is not bread. So there's this ultra-processed food.
Anything that lasts longer than 2 days is probably not real bread, is it?
Exactly. So there's the misinformation. But as you said, it's also a lot to do with the subconscious, the psychological, the emotional, and the mindset. Because even when we know, because there are certain things that we all know, right? We know fruit and veg is vital. We know that we need good quality natural proteins. There's a lot that we know, and we know that it's better to be eating and cooking from scratch. But then the mindset comes in, doesn't it? Because it's like, here's one. I can't cook from scratch. I'm too busy. And everybody who's listening is going to go, but I am too busy. Here's the thing. I'm too busy too, but I cook from scratch because I know not even how important it is, because that's theoretical. I know the impact that it has on the way I feel in my body tomorrow if I cooked something with a jar. Because if I cook something with a jar or bought a ready meal, I'm going to get the joint pain and the stiffness back. I'm going to be asleep in the afternoon because of the sugars, or if I had a chocolate bar or something like that. So because I know how it makes me feel in my body later today, tonight, tomorrow, that's why I do it. Because then...
And also, it doesn't... Not having time is a little bit of a myth anyway, right? Because... time, like, let's get a takeaway then. Well, time you've sat down and decided what you're going to have, time you put your order, time you've actually got it in front of you. You could have cooked a really nice meal.
It's a minimum of 1 hour.
Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't actually take that long, does it?
And a stir fry I can do in 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I menu plan. And this is one of the biggest issues that people don't do, right? So I go shopping once a week on a Friday night. I know how to have a good time, I know, right? But Thursday night, we menu plan. And that way, you know exactly what you're eating. You know exactly what ingredients you need to buy. So you're not wasting. And you can, because you've planned it, you go, right, well, let's have a look on the, right, so tonight is blah, blah. And then you just do it. You're not wasting energy. Oh, God, what we're going to do? Oh, God, I can't be bothered. I'm so tired. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's just get a takeaway then.
Let me give you a slightly different perspective on that, right? So you're absolutely right. But a slightly different perspective on that. Only some of us are planners, right? So the people who are planners, they will thrive on that method. So coaching people to menu plan is absolutely a great thing. Those of us who aren't planners could also benefit from it. But let me give you something that's even more effective. Being prepared. It's not planning. It's just having the right things in. So for example, I'm not a natural planner. I'm much more impulsive, right? I'm intuitive. And actually, if you planned me my meals for the week, I would go, but I don't feel like salmon on a Thursday. I don't feel like
I can mix them up a bit. It depends on what's going out of date first, to be honest.
Yeah, there's that, isn't there? There's the practicality. But here's what really works, and this is what I coach. Grab and go, right? So many of us are so busy and so chaotic that we need to be able to grab and go. And that's why convenience food has won. But it hasn't won for long. Because if you can create your own convenience and you create your own grab and go, and that's exactly what I coach. So I coach, let's not cook when we're hungry. Let's cook and prep our batch cooking, our salads, our coleslaws, our hummus, I do a lovely take on the M&S superfood salad, you know, the lovely bowl of whatever it is ready to go in the fridge so that when I'm hungry and I'm not organized,
you got something there.
You've got something that you can go, oh, look, I've already made a batch of coleslaw. All I need to do is, oh, look, there's some salmon fillets or chicken or whatever it is. I know I can do that in 5 minutes flat, put the coleslaw with, I'm okay. So it's partly the planning, and that's particularly effective for those who thrive on planning. But I will say that the majority of people I coach need the grab and go convenience. So it's creating a new kind of.
No, that's very true, actually. I did used to do that a lot. Not so much now, but when I don't, lunchtime is probably the worst sometimes for me because you're always, I've got a meeting in a minute, got a meeting. And I used to do that a lot. I might go back to that, actually. Good reminder. And then you open the fridge. I mean, my meal might be planned. My breakfast is fine. Yeah, and I open the fridge and I'm like,
what? There's nothing to eat. My 17-year-old daughter Ruby says, "Oh, we're an ingredients household," and she hates it because in her friends' houses, you open the fridge and it's like, "Oh, there's one of them. Oh, lovely, that's ready made," or or they'll make a sandwich. In ours, there's vegetables and there's protein. You've got to assemble something out of that. So to make it easy, you've got to make it easy, not just for kids. You've got to make it easy for you as well. So for me, I love these clear containers, these clear Tupperware things. It's not Tupperware, it's Systema or something. They're nice and clear. You can get glass ones as well. You get yourself a bolognese that you've cooked on the weekend that's enough to last you a week, and a curry or a soup or a coleslaw, like I've said, or a chopped salad that's not just rabbit food, but that's really hearty.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
A heavy taste.
Granola in it or whatever it's called. And all that.
And if you learn how to do my 5-step salad, it's not rabbit food then, and it's really nourishing. You know, when you go somewhere and you're like, oh, and they've got some butternut squash and they've got seeds and there's a beautiful
I love them.
And there's some fish or chicken and it's really filling. That kind of salad. Once you've got the know-how and you've got, here's the ingredients I never run out of, right? That's been key for me. A list of things we never run out of.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I did use, we've got Bear's Grill book actually. And there was really nice ones in there. We're like, oh yeah, really nice ones. I need to dig them out. But maybe I'll get some of yours.
Yeah, well, I've got my grab and go basics because I'm the kind of person that wants to spend as little time as possible in the kitchen, because I'm trying to change the world here, right? So I need
time with the kitchen.
little time as possible in the kitchen. But this having the tricks, the know-how, and knowing how to piece a meal together without having to rely on recipe books, right?
Yes.
A simple strategy for piecing a meal together. Make a list of all the proteins that you like. So for those of us that eat meat and fish, it's salmon, it's tuna, it's whitefish, it's chicken, it's steak, it's lean minced beef, it's turkey. You put all the proteins that you enjoy. And if the list is too short, challenge yourself to add a few that you could try. And if you're vegetarian or vegan, then put a list of all the plant-based proteins that are natural that you can cook with. And then you put a list of all the vegetables that you like and that you will eat if pushed. So you've got a list of your proteins, you've got a list of your veg. That's all you ever need. Because any protein goes with any vegetable. You don't need a recipe. You just need to know how to stick some in the oven or the air fryer or fry it in a pan.
Air fryers. Oh my God, that's a revelation. I was quite late to the party on an air fryer, but the only time I really put my oven on now is if I'm doing like a lot of stuff, like a roast dinner or something, because it's just too much faffing putting it in the thing. But oh my God, everything just goes in there, doesn't it?
Changer. So if you've got the one with two halves to it,
yes,
your protein on the one side and your veg on the other side. This is key because it saves you time. It's got to be easy. You've got to make it doable. If healthy eating meant I've now got to spend an hour a day cooking some elaborate thing from a recipe book. And here's the thing, you go to a recipe book, that meal takes you 4 times as long to prep because you're following a recipe book. But once you know how to do it, you don't need the book.
No.
Who doesn't know how to cook a bolognese? We all know, right? We start with chopping some onions. Then if we're eating meat, then we put some lean minced beef in, and then we put the veg and the tomatoes out of a tin. And, everybody knows the basics. Once you know the basics of how to put together something bolognese in nature, something curry based in nature, something soupy, something casserole, and something roasty that goes in the oven.
That's a week's worth of food.
That's it. You don't need the recipes. You just need those basic. It's almost like a template.
Yeah. It's like a potato, isn't it? It's so versatile. You can do so many things with a potato. But if you've got some potatoes in your cupboard and an onion, you're well away.
What I will say, and I'm not here to give food tips, but I will say because you said potato, if you can swap a white potato for a sweet potato.
I love a sweet potato.
So if you can swap white potatoes for sweet potatoes, you're going to find that helpful.
I've got that tonight, actually, I think, sweet potato. I do like a sweet potato. But it's amazing. And it's so true. And it is people, and funny enough, about you saying about being too busy, people, not you being too busy, but people being too busy. And that's the whole premise around the whole of what I teach in my group program as well. And it's about, if you do not take time out for yourself, then this is what's going to happen. You're going to get ill. You're going to get psychological, physical conditions because you're not looking after yourself.
And then you're not
taking time out. Yeah, you're not being present and you're not listening to your body. And if you're just living your life just conscious, not being conscious of what you're doing, I should say, then you're just playing into a whole world of nightmare, aren't you?
There's a lovely saying around this. It's not a lovely saying, but it's a helpful saying. If you think you're too busy to be well, or if you think being well takes too much time, try being ill.
See how much time that takes of you.
See how much time that takes.
Yeah, I like that.
Because everybody is too busy. No matter how you can sit and watch somebody, certain members of the family sitting down, having a couple of hours in front of the telly, and you think, you're not busy, I'm busy. There's always somebody busier than us, and there's always somebody less busy. And who's judging, right? But here's the thing. There's never enough time for everything. We have to accept it. There is never enough time. So how you spend your time that you do have has to be based on your values and priorities.
Agreed.
And if your health, and you wait for some of us, is a priority for you, you have to prioritize it on the list of things you spend your time on.
Exactly. So if people go, well, I don't have time to exercise, well, you need to make time. You need to be looking. Yeah. And like you say, it's about really delving deep into your day-to-day life and say, okay, where are you spending time then? Well, if you've got time to scroll on your phone for an hour and a half every day, for example, you've got time. If you've got time to sit and watch, binge watch a whole episode on a whole season on Netflix, well, you've got time.
It's about asking yourself what your values are, because there's values in the moment, and then there's your long-term values. And what happens when we sit down and scroll for too long, or we sit down and we watch another episode on Netflix, right? I do that too. In that moment, your values are sitting down, resting. So you're driven by your values in that moment, and you will prioritize resting. But there's another side to the story. And I often do. Do you mind if I bring out some props? Right? I often talk about, right? So in that moment, your values are, oh, I've had a hard day. I haven't got time. I want to rest. I want to take it easy. I want to sit down. I've had a busy day, or I feel rubbish. And you forget, because it's so in that short-term mentality, you forget about the long-term objectives. So this is another character that I bring into my coaching. You've got the short-term side, you've got the long-term side. The long-term you wants health, wants longevity, wants to be free from symptoms, wants more energy and to be slim. That's the longer term. And what happens is these two sides to us are both very real, but we're only ever hearing the voice of one at the time. And we're like either listening to that one and it's Netflix or scrolling, or we're listening to that one going, I've got to start a diet, I've got to buy all this healthy food. And then what we do is we end up buying all this healthy food, and this one kicks back in, and all that healthy food goes to waste.
Yeah, because I'm too tired. I need to sit and watch Netflix rather than cooking nice healthy dinner.
Yeah, and I've had a bad day. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling miserable. And so one of the techniques I use in my coaching, and this is all the mindset stuff that we were talking about, is actually having a dialogue between these two sides. On the one hand, this is true. I do want to rest. I am tired. I haven't got time.
And I deserve some rest.
And I deserve it. Yeah. And that's very, very real. But this one, out of control, leads us to order takeaways and not look after ourselves. So that one is a little bit like a child. Left unsupervised, if there would be nothing but pizzas everywhere, But so what we need to do is we need to tap into this side of us that wants the health, wants the longevity, wants the vibrance, the more out of life. And we need to let this one have a louder voice more of the time, but also start to get these talking to each other so that they can sit and actually have a conversation and be present in the same room at the same time. And that's what was not happening. And that was key for me, because I was like, all day long, I want to be healthy. And then as soon as 7 o'clock came, stuff being healthy, I just want to eat and drink.
Yeah, get some Maltesers and sit in front of the telly. I know. I
couldn't get my head around it. I'm two different people. I'm evening Sue, but my daytime Sue. And I couldn't make sense of it. But I've made sense of it now. It's about, guided with a coach, learning to do a conversation, supervise a conversation that helps you resolve the needs of the short term and the needs of the long term in a sensible way that works for everybody, so that they can share.
Yeah, like that. And and that's exactly right. And that's kind of what I do really with talking to the subconscious mind. And it's like, well, wait, maybe we're talking to the saboteur, or what's stopping you from and it is really getting to the root cause of what's going on with things. And it's exactly the same. It's just different ways around it, isn't it?
Exactly. The saboteur, you could call that the saboteur, and there are all kinds of different saboteurs, That particular one was the child. There's also the rebellious teenager, that one. There's also the people pleaser. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of us will eat in a certain way because everybody around us expects us to. There's
Yeah.
so many saboteurs when it comes to our food relationship.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
where I have a lot of fun with the coaching.
Yeah. Same. And it's about giving people that awareness and understanding, because like you said, they don't know, and sometimes just knowing is enough just to make a change happen, isn't it?
This is it. If this side knew that there was a way of having quick and convenient, then they would embrace it. So you have that conversation, you go, oh, okay, so I realize that you're tired. What we need is quick and convenient food that's actually quite tasty. Oh, nothing like that exists. Oh, let me show you. And it's treating this side with kindness rather than what diets do is we try to ignore that side. We try to pretend it doesn't exist.
But
But
go to sleep, you won't be hungry.
yeah, it's like just willpower. Use willpower to pretend that we don't. Willpower is not helpful. It can be helpful in very short bursts. But when this side, or let's say the mediator, which is the intelligent you or your coach, comes in and says, well, let's look to see how we can get the short-term need for getting fed quickly and conveniently so that we can rest. But how do we do that without spending an hour in the kitchen? So this is where the strategies and the pragmatic comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we are very much aligned. And we've got to wrap up now, my lovely, but there's a few things I want to say. I'm going to give you the opportunity in a moment just to let everyone know how they can contact you and what you've got coming up. But what I wanted to say was I run a show every Tuesday now, Tuesdays at 12:30. And the whole point of my show is I follow 3 pillars, which is ground, learn and connect. And it's about getting people to take that hour a week for themselves, right? Join together. We'll do a little bit of grounding. Sometimes I'll do an education, but we do some connection, whether that be short meditation or hypnosis. But sometimes I have group. Oh my God, experts. There's the word. Sorry. And I'd love you to come on there because I think we could have fun with the guys and give them some real good tools to help them get on their journey to understand what we're doing to ourselves.
I would love to come on there, and I would be able to give people some new ways of thinking, like we've been just hinting at today, but also some practical new ways of eating.
Yes.
That is, that's going to solve both sides of the argument. I love that. And being grounded is so important, isn't it? And then the learning the techniques and the connection is vital, because the connection is what keeps us motivation and helps us feel supported. When you're on any transformational journey, that connection support is vital.
Exactly. So I'm really excited for that. And it's just trying to find out what people want. So if anyone is feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, maybe got weight issues, then drop us a line once this is finished streaming, and then in the Facebook group or wherever you're watching it, put anything in there that you think you'd like to learn, what would be useful. And I'll be reaching out anyway in my different social medias to make sure that my show is actually, ticking the boxes that you all want. So before we finish, Sue, thank you so much for coming on. But do you want to just share how people can find you? And again, we'll put that in the socials as well once it's gone live. But also, what have you got coming up?
Yeah, great. So how to contact me? Well, very luckily, I've got a unique name. So as long as you can remember how to spell my last name, Ellar, you just go to sueellar.com and everything is there. So what have I got? Oh, I'm also Sue Ellar on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, the whole lot. I'm Sue Ellar on all of those, right? What have I got coming up? So on the 18th of November, I'll be doing a masterclass on everything we've talked about, with a focus on releasing weight naturally and efficiently. So that's on the 18th of November. And then in January, 6th of January is planned. It might deviate a little bit, but the plan is to do a 7-day challenge. And the 7-day challenge is not about going on a diet. It's not even about changing the way you eat. It's about intentional eating or empowered eating in a way that that fulfills the objectives that you want out of life. So that's a free challenge starting, first week in Jan.
Lovely, which is perfect, isn't it? Because that's Diet City, isn't it? First New Year's resolutions.
Diet, and it never works. So this is
Mm,
what does work: is that
mm.
a close look at the mindset and the associations around food.
Lovely, amazing. So everybody, this is my channel anyway. So I'm Millieside Therapy and Coaching, and I am pretty much Millieside on everything apart from Instagram, which is Julie Millieside. Don't ask me why, but it is. So, but other than that, you can find me at Millieside wherever you want to go. Now, this interview will go on my YouTube channel, and on my YouTube channel, you will find all my other Unstoppable interview guests as well. But you'll also find client short videos that clients have testimonials they've done for me, but also some of them are very kindly done interviews like this kind of format as well. And there's some other bits and bobs on there that you might find useful. So get yourself over to Millieside Therapy and Coaching, subscribe, like and share. I need to get my numbers up. I need to get people viewing because we want to share this stuff around the world and help as many people as we can. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Sue, again for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Julie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're so welcome, and we'll look forward to seeing each other again soon. So take care, and I'll see you next time with my next Unstoppable guest. Bye-bye.
Bye all.